Good evening and welcome to the Expats Portugal webinar for this evening. It's the 8th of the 8th. So it works either way, whether you're American or European. It's 8/8/24 today, and we're delighted to be in the company of Filomena Pascual, our great friend. Good to see you here tonight, Filomena. Before, you've talked to us a lot about the culture and the language, and we've focused a little bit on the language, and we've helped people, I hope, learning and honing their Portuguese linguistic skills. Tonight, this is very special, a unique experience to share with you some of your secret places here in Portugal. And I think you have a little bit of a slideshow for us tonight. How are you doing this evening?
Hello. Boa tarde.
Boa tarde. Actually, sorry, forgive me. Boa tarde.
Boa tarde. It's not dark yet. It was hard to choose because Astrid asked me to choose 3 interesting places to visit in Portugal. How could I choose just 3, isn't it?
It's a tough ask,
very difficult.
Yes.
Very difficult. So I decided to choose 3 areas of Portugal, okay? 3 big areas. Not the north and the center and the south. Okay, no. But
I know the top and the middle and the bottom, right?
No. But I decided to choose some areas that are not as famous, let's say. Right. Because usually everybody knows Lisbon, everybody knows Porto, the Algarve, all these places that people, at least they heard about it, because they are, of course, the biggest cities, or because of the tourism in the Algarve, for example, the beaches. So I decided to speak about the opposite, the places that are hardly spoken about, and they are, in my opinion, some of them are even more beautiful than the ones that are usually visited by most tourists.
Excellent. Okay, so it's the hidden gems, 3 of Filomena's favorites.
Hidden gems.
Is your sweatshirt a clue this evening?
Actually, this is a part of the country that I'm not going to speak about, but I am going to speak about the islands. But okay. CR7 is from Madeira, from Funchal. He was born in Funchal. But although I love all the islands, we have 11 islands, right, altogether. Although I love all of them, but you know that my favorites are Açores, right? So that's one of the parts that I chose.
Okay, yeah, and we can
they are also Portugal.
Sure, but we can't really describe Cristiano Ronaldo as a hidden gem, can we? He's known the world over, so not a hidden gem. So the sweatshirt, not a secret. Iris is delighted I'm going with Iris in the Portuguese pronunciation. Great, the hidden gems tonight. Jen is saying, either way, whether it's centigrade or Fahrenheit, it's hot, 100 in Louisiana this evening. And a boa tarde from James, as well as from, it's a boa noite from Caroline. So over to you, Filomena, then, with a slideshow. You've got some slides for us to pop on the screen there.
Okay. Okay. Yes, I have been touring yesterday and the day before yesterday. The same couple. We had 2 days together. The first day was dedicated because they gave me a long list of things that they would like to see. And I have chosen a few things, and we have seen a lot. But they were interested in Roman ruins. So because they were interested in Roman ruins, we started with, of course, Conímbriga, the biggest Roman ruin in Portugal. So then from Conímbriga, we went to Rabaçal to visit the Roman villa of Rabaçal. And then we still went to Santiago de Guarda. I don't know if you have been there, because Santiago de Guarda also has a manor house that has been built on top of some Roman ruins as well. Oh. So you have 2 in 1. You have a medieval part and you have a Roman part. You can even distinguish the 2 floors, the 2 levels of floor. You can still see the original tiles, the Roman tiles. And then about a meter and a half above that. You maybe in some places maybe a bit higher. You have the medieval floor.
Amazing,
So,
like living archaeology, basically.
yeah, yes. So when Ancião, because that belongs to Ancião, the municipality of Ancião, and when Ancião bought the building, the medieval building, they bought the building in 2000 because they decided to keep the building as, you know, a museum, to transform that building as a museum, but they didn't know about the Roman ruins yet.
What a lovely surprise.
They just knew that it was a medieval, very old building, and with a tower, and very nice building. But when they started do renovation works, you know, to transform that into a museum, then they found what we can find here. We can find anything in our backyard, right? So you start digging, and oh, it's a Roman ruin.
Oh, it's a Roman ruin.
That's what they found.
Wonderful.
Roman ruins. Yeah.
Okay. Before
And
we
then-
get started, can I ask you about
Sorry.
Conímbriga? Because that's going to be closing soon, isn't it, for a major refurbishment? People should possibly know that to save a disappointment.
Yes, you have more excavations. They are going on. So Conímbriga is just a small part. What we see is just a very small part of the huge city that was Conímbriga.
Wow. Okay.
It's just a small part, and the excavations are still going on.
And they're going to close, and it might take a few years. I understand this closure. So
I'm not sure
see
about
part
that.
of it,
I'm not sure,
but not all
but
of it. Okay, but be
I'm
careful.
not sure.
If you are thinking of heading to Conímbriga that Filomena was just talking about, check first before you go, because there are some, as you say, ongoing excavations.
But if it's closed, and if you like Roman ruins, as I said, you have other places in the
Yes.
area where you can see Roman ruins.
Excellent, excellent.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so can we start?
Please. Sorry for all the distraction.
No. So, as I said, I have chosen 3 main big areas. In the north, I have chosen Trás-os-Montes e Alto Douro. We call it província, so a province of Portugal. The provinces were, the country was split in provinces in the 16th century. And then later I have a picture with all the provinces for you to understand. So I have chosen the eastern part of the north, because the western part, well, lots of people already know, because it's by the sea, and Viana do Castelo, Ponte de Lima, and things like that. Porto, of course, but probably you haven't heard about the cities in the inner part, which are very cities, and not just, cities and villages, mainly villages. Then central Portugal, but in the east, the historical villages of Portugal, because we have 12 villages that are classified as historical villages, and one of them was even chosen to film the what is it? A Guerra
Game
dos
of Thrones,
Tronos.
isn't it? Game of Thrones.
Yeah, A Guerra dos Tronos, yes. And so they are very, very beautiful. The landscapes are amazing. So if you like history, it's a place to go. And the islands in the Atlantic. So we have Açores, or in English you call it Azores. They are 9 islands in the middle of the Atlantic. So they are from Portugal to America. In the order from Portugal to America, they are Santa Maria, then São Miguel, the biggest one, then Terceira, because of course it was the third. So the name is the third, Terceira. São Jorge, Pico, Faial, Graciosa, Flores, and the smallest one, Corvo. The Flores and Corvo are the ones that are closest to America. Flores is actually the one who is the closest, but Corvo is almost the same position. So, starting with Trás-os-Montes e Alto Douro, as I said, I have a map on the left side for you to understand the provinces of Portugal. So, starting in the north, you have Minho, and then Douro Litoral, and then in the eastern part, you have Trás-os-Montes e Alto Douro. Then we have a central part of Portugal, which is called Beiras. Beiras is, well, it means the central part, but it is divided into three. The seaside one, Beira Litoral, litoral means by the seaside. Then Beira Alta, because it's on a higher position, and Beira Baixa, lower Baixa, so Beira, the lower Beira. So you have a higher Beira and a lower Beira and a seaside Beira. All these three are considered Beiras in general, and it's considered the central part of Portugal. Then Lisbon area is Extremadura, and then near the river Tejo, there is the Ribatejo. So, of course, because of the name of the river, Tejo. And in Ribatejo, you have all the horses and the bulls for the bullfighting. That's another story, but so that's the Ribatejo. Then Alentejo, you have Alto Alentejo. Again, it's Alto and Baixo. So Alto, higher one, and lower one. So Baixo Alentejo, and then Algarve. So these are the provinces of Portugal. So you can see that I want to focus about Trás-os-Montes e Alto Douro. So the districts of Vila Real and Bragança are in this province, although there are a couple of municipalities from Viseu and also from Viseu and from somewhere else, I can't remember now, but it's just one or two municipalities. So the biggest part is Vila Real and Bragança. So it is one of Portugal's historic provinces with the highest number of immigrants and one of the most affected by the population. So its secular isolation has, however, allowed cultural traditions to survive that mark the Portuguese identity. The Douro is the most important river, of course, in this territory, because it comes from Spain, enters Portugal in this area of Trás-os-Montes, Miranda do Douro. That's why it's called Miranda do Douro, because the Douro crosses the border there. And then it goes all the way to Porto. So it is one of the country's main areas for the production of chestnuts, olive oil, wine, almonds, honey, and enchidos. So enchidos is a generic name for all the sausages, not just sausages, but we have all sorts of enchidos. Enchidos because there is the verb encher. Encher means to fill in. And so, for example, the alheira, the famous alheira, the sausage that has been invented by the Jews because they, the Christians were checking who was a Christian and who wasn't a Christian by seeing who had the sausage hanging for smoking, and the Jews, if they didn't have a sausage, they would be immediately discovered. So they invented this sausage alheira with no pork, but with chicken and a mixture of bread as well. And it's a very specific sausage that is from this area, from the city of Mirandela, but of course from the Trás-os-Montes in general. Okay, so I have a few pictures from Trás-os-Montes, because as I said, it was very hard to choose just a few, but I have chosen between Minho and Trás-os-Montes, you have a beautiful national park, Peneda-Gerês. So I have a few pictures that I took a while ago, a few years ago, but just for you to understand that you have beautiful landscapes, you have wildlife, you can see wild horses, wild oxen, as you can see in the pictures. So if you like nature, if you like mountains, because Trás-os-Montes, as the name says, it's behind the mountains. So if you like the nature and the mountains, yes, it's a place to go.
And is that the correct way to approach the oxen, is to hide behind a tree like that?
Yes, my husband was a bit afraid. So, oops, sorry. So then the city of Villarreal, which is, let's say, the capital. Oh, I don't know what's happening here with my, probably the mouse. Villarreal is the main, the main, I'm putting the mouse there, okay. The main city of Trás-os-Montes. And I have chosen this picture of Casa Mateus, the Mateus Palace, that I advise people to visit. They have a beautiful garden, a huge garden, many huge trees. Oh, I don't know what's happening here. Oh.
Is your keyboard covered up somewhere? You're the return key sometimes.
I don't know. It's
the arrow keys sometimes as well.
Because I'm not touching anything, but well. Okay, so okay, something is against me.
It's keen to progress, isn't it? This is the most exciting slideshow I've seen for a long time.
Oh, because I'm not even touching anything, and the mouse is here.
I'm not either. I'm not pranking you at this end.
No.
Okay, so we're back
well, anyway, so Casa de Mateus, as I was saying, you know Mateus Rosé, for example, the wine Mateus Rosé. Although the owners of the palace now, because in my opinion, it's just because they have another wine now, and they say Mateus Rosé has nothing to do with it, but
Really?
well, it does. And so it's they have a guided tour to the palace. You can see the palace, the inside of the palace, and a part of the palace is still it's inhabited by a family. Then I would, if you like literature, in São Martinho d'Anta, which is very close to Villarreal, it's a very, very small village where Miguel Torga, one of our greatest writers in the 20th century, so he was born in 1907, died in 1995, and he was one of our biggest poets and he wrote several kinds of books. He was a doctor in Coimbra. I was lucky enough to know him, and he was a friend of my father. So there is a museum in this little village, and you can also see you can also see the house where he was born. And in the museum you have everything about his life and his work. So I would recommend a visit. Then another city in Trás-os-Montes is Chaves, a Roman city. In the Roman times, it was called Aqua Flavia because of the Emperor Flavio. And this is a Roman bridge that you can see there. The river Tâmega, Rio Tâmega. And in this city, you also have a lovely castle. You can visit also the thermal waters. You have thermal waters you can also visit. Then Bragança is another part. Bragança is another part of Trás-os-Montes. And you have the castle in Bragança, in the city of Bragança, and you have museums as well. But you also have the village of Pudense. The village of Pudense belongs to Macedo de Cavaleiros, the municipality of Macedo de Cavaleiros. And as you can see here, the president, our president of the Republic, with a few caretos. We have spoken about caretos sometimes in Good Morning Portugal show. They are especially spoken about at Carnival, so usually February, because this is a tradition that has also some Celtic origin, and it's to say goodbye to the winter, to welcome spring. That's why the colorful colors, and it's also interesting to visit the museum that they have in Pudense about the caretos. Okay, then as quickly as I can, we can go to historical villages of Portugal. So again, I put the map so that you have the idea where they are. So in the center of Portugal, there are 12 villages.
But I mean, is your mouse a corded mouse or a wireless one?
Wireless one.
Why not? You could turn that off and maybe use the arrow key. If it's the mouse, maybe it could be switched off, and then you.
Thank you for the advice.
No, we'll see. What it hasn't worked yet.
So as you can see, these are the 12 villages near the border, mainly near the border to Spain. They were important to fight against the Spanish, the Castilians, and so that's why they are mainly with castles and big walls to protect the country. Okay. So here they are. You have a map of the 12 villages. So starting from the north part, you have Marialva, Trancoso, Linhares, Pulgozinho, Piódão, Castelo Novo, Monsanto, Idanha Nova, Penha Garcia, Sortelha, Belmonte, Castelo Mendo, Almeida, Castelo Rodrigo. All of them are beautiful. All of them are worth a visit, but I have chosen a few to show a few pictures. So Piódão is probably one of the best known historical villages. It is surrounded by Serra do Açores, quite windy to get there, but it's worthwhile. And so it is, as you can see, the houses are schist houses. So the houses are built with the stone that is in layers. And then the doors, around the doors and the windows, they have to have a blue paint. So that the village looks the same, except for the church. The church is the building that is, painted white and a normal building. And now they have also built a hotel, but the hotel is not in this part. It's a bit, the other side of the photo that is not there. So then Monsanto, as I referred before, the Game of Thrones, the House of the Dragon, has been filmed in Monsanto. So like almost all the others, this village was built entirely of granite. So it was passed through by the Romans, the Visigoths, who were conquered by the Moors, who in turn were conquered by the first king of Portugal, Afonso Henriques, who donated it to the Order of the Knight Templars. So the village offers some of the most interesting scenery to be found in Portugal. So no wonder they have chosen this village to film. And it is a bit hard, well, I would say very hard to climb up to the castle, but again, it's worthwhile because the breathtaking views from the top are really, really worthwhile. And in between, on the way to the top, you see all the stones that are sometimes they are part of the house, or like in this house, it's the roof, but sometimes they are the walls as well. And it's very interesting to see this kind of, mingling with nature.
That is incredible, that structure, isn't it? I mean, a re-roofing quote would be very expensive, I think. But there's probably no chance of that ever needing to happen.
Yeah. Yes, it's in my opinion. Well, Monsanto is the oldest village, and it's really different. Sortelha, I have chosen Sortelha as well. I also like Sortelha very much. So it is one of the oldest village, dating back to the time of King Sancho II, the fourth king of Portugal. So because we started being Portugal in 1143, so it's also a very, very old village. And again, it's worth climbing the walls. It's all, of course, if they have a castle, and the castle has to be at the top. So, but it's also worth climbing, and you can also climb go in the castle and also see the interior part. And finally, not to take too long on these villages, I have chosen a different one, although it is part of the network of historical villages of Portugal. Belmonte doesn't have that intimate and cozy atmosphere of the other ones, but it's very important also because Pedro Álvares Cabral, so the man who discovered Brazil in 1500, he was born here. And so also the country's first Jewish community settled here in Belmonte in the 15th century. Still today, you can see the synagogue and of course, lots of the Jewish community still lives here. So I have chosen these a few villages, but of course, as I said, all of them, and as you have seen, they are close to each other. So if you take, I would say 3-4 days, and then you can visit them all.
Okay, so that's what you'd recommend is a three-day tour.
Yeah, well, they are 12 villages, right? 12 villages. If you visit 3 in a day, you need 4 days, right?
Yes, yeah.
Then Açores, because sometimes I think people are not very aware of the fact that we have Azores in the middle of the Atlantic. Sometimes they think they can take a boat or something to visit the Azores. No, they can't. You have to fly. It's about 2 hours, depending the island you go to, 2 hours, 2 hours and a half. And then every island has got an airport. Some islands, as you can see, are smaller, very, very quite smaller. And so you don't have direct flights from Lisbon or Porto to these islands, because you have to get another plane on a bigger island and then fly, or you in between some islands, for example, the 3 in the middle, Faial, Pico, and São Jorge, you can take a boat. But just for you to get the idea of how far they are, from Faial to Pico, you see in the middle of the picture, Faial to Pico, you take half an hour by boat. And then if you want to go from Pico to São Jorge, you take 1 hour and a half. So by boat. So you see that it's not as close as it seems. Then, for example, from Flores to Corvo, you can also take a boat. But for example, to visit Graciosa, you have to take a plane because it's too far from the others. So I have just chosen a few pictures, some taken by me and some I couldn't, because I have been in all of them, but I need some time to organize all my photos, and sometimes I couldn't find them. But so Santa Maria is the one that is closest to us, as you have seen on the map. So I can go back for you to see. It's the one on the right. And so Santa Maria, this is a photograph I took in Santa Maria. It has 5,600 inhabitants, and it's one of the smallest ones. It's just 97 square kilometers. So it's a very rural island, but very nice to visit. It has a fort that was very important to protect the island against all the pirates that attacked the island. Including the Englishes, including the English pirates. So lots of pirates that wanted that island, and so they have a lovely fort there to
what was it attacked because it would make a good stronghold, or was there a local resource that was particularly sought after?
No, because these islands in the middle of the Atlantic, they were an excellent strategic point, right? I mean, they are still, because that's why the Americans still have a military base there, right? On Terceira. So they are still very, very important. Even Christopher Columbus, when he came back from America, he stopped on this island in Santa Maria.
Well,
on the way back. So São Miguel, well, I have chosen this picture that I took from the tea plantation. It's the only tea plantation that we have, and the tea is grown as natural as possible, so no preservatives, nothing, no pesticides, nothing. And so you have different kinds of tea. You have green tea, you have the black tea, and so it's, by the way, Chá Gurriana. The brand is Gurriana.
That's what the English pirates were looking for, Filomena.
Also for the tea.
Yes.
Yes, maybe they wanted some tea. So in São Miguel is the biggest island. So in terms of population, it has 137,200 inhabitants, and it's the biggest island, 745 square kilometers. So it's usually the one that most people know, because being the biggest one, it's the first one that people usually visit when they go to the Azores. And it's a good start because you have lots of different things to see. You have, for example, the cozido das Furnas, or as they say in the Azores, and speaking about the language, because I haven't spoken about the language so far, but speaking about the language, the Azores, particularly in São Miguel, the accent is quite different and very hard to understand, even for Portuguese. So they say they have the influence of the different people that went to the island. So the French, for example, the Dutch, and so the sound, the pronunciation of the U is like a French U. So, for example, the town is Furnas, and they say Furnas. So we say Furnas, and they say Furnas. And so in Furnas, you can taste the cozido das Furnas, and it's they put in a pan different kinds of meats, chicken and beef and pork, and cabbage and turnips and carrots and potatoes, different kinds of vegetables, and they put everything together in a pan, and the pan goes under the ground. So they have holes where they put usually two pans in one hole, and the pans stay there for about 5-6 hours, and then it's done. So you open the hole, you pull it, and it's done. So it's a very different gastronomy, because it's cooked with, well, by the way, I haven't mentioned, but all the islands are volcanic islands, so that's why it's cooked with the steam from the volcano.
Denise was asking that which island has the volcano. So they're
all of
volcanic.
them.
They're all volcanic, but there's an active volcano, fairly recently active volcano, isn't there?
The most recent volcano.
Yes.
That was in Faial in 1957-58.
There you go, Denise. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But they are all volcanic, and the Santa Maria, the oldest island, is about 8 million years old.
Wow.
Terceira.
Picture. That's incredible.
Yeah. Well, they vary between 8 million and then some 4 million old. For example, there are islands that started to be, a volcano here, volcano there, but then they started to join the lava, and then they became one island. So Terceira is actually the flattest one although we can see two little craters here. But it's the flattest island. And one of my favorite landscapes is this like patchwork, these fields where they have lots of cows, lots and lots. Well, cows, there are cows in every island, but they have lots of cows here. And for me, it's one of the most beautiful landscapes also. In Terceira, as I said before, the Americans still have a military base, although the American government has decided a few years ago that many military officers, they went back to America. But it's interesting to see that they brought lots of things from America, including buses and everything. So they have an area where they live as if it was America. So even shops and everything specific for the Americans. So they are not part of the local community, but they are a part. But they are important for the island, of course, in economical terms, because they employ lots of local people as well. So this is also an important part for the island, the military base. In Terceira, for example, you can go inside a volcano. Algar do Carvão is the name of that place. Algar do Carvão is a volcano that you can go in, and they have stairs and everything. They have transformed that in such a way that the visitors can go in. It's amazing the different colors that you get inside of the volcano, and I like to see the different rocks and the different tones of the different colors. So I love that volcano as well. Then you have a lift to come up, okay? but it's very interesting because you can see the crater from down there, from the interior of the volcano. You look up and you see the crater up. So very interesting.
James Bond's movie. Fantastic.
Yes, it's very, very, very beautiful. Well, then going from Portugal to America, we have São Jorge. São Jorge is the thinnest and longest island. Well, I haven't spoken about the inhabitants of Terceira, sorry. So Terceira has 55,000 inhabitants, and it has an area of 403 square kilometers. São Jorge is a bit smaller, 245 square kilometers, and it has a population of 8,250. And it's the thinnest one because it's the longest and thinnest. It's like a French baguette, right? In the middle of the islands. So São Jorge has lots of small, we call it fajãs. A fajã is an area by the sea, as you can see in this picture. This picture was taken by me. And people have a small village there, but then there are very high cliffs, you know. So it's really amazing how people live there. And then to go somewhere, they have to go up and up and up because it's really an abrupt fall, the cliff, and then the fajã. We call it fajã when there is a drop like that, and then they have a small village. And São Jorge has lots of fajãs, beautiful ones. Pico. Well, I have chosen this picture because of the highest mountain. That's why the name of the island, Pico. Inhabitants, 13,600, 448 square kilometers, and the highest mountain in Portugal. It's even higher than our Serra da Estrela in the mainland. So this is 2,330, I think, meters high. And there is some snow sometimes at the top. So the rest of the island doesn't get any snow, but at the top of the mountain. Yes. People say that the sunrise from the top is one of the fantastic experience that you can have in your life. I haven't done it, but usually people have a guide, because you just climb up with a guide, and they sleep in tents near the top, and then the next day in the morning they climb the rest of the mountain, and they watch the sunrise, and it must be an amazing experience.
Yeah.
Then from Faial, I have chosen these two pictures that I took. The picture of the famous harbor with the paintings, because Faial is a mandatory stop almost for all the sailors in the world. So the sailors that come, that cross the Atlantic Ocean, they always stop in Faial. And so they leave, the tradition is to leave on the floor or on the wall a painting to say something about your trip, or you sometimes they leave their names or the name of the boat, or they paint something or a message, a text. So if you go to the harbor, you see lots of these messages from all over the world. And on the right, this is obviously Jacques Cousteau, and this is Scrimshaw. That is a museum, a little museum that is above Peter's Cafe, and this is a museum about. So Scrimshaw is the technique of painting on whale's bone or teeth. So and you have marvelous pictures, and I especially love the detail of these paintings, because as you can see, the face there, every wrinkle, everything, and there are lovely paintings. And I have been twice to the museum because I really love it, and I advise also people, if you go to Faial, of course you should see the museum at Peter's Cafe, and of course speak to our dear friend Genuíno Madruga, right? Who was the only Portuguese to circumnavigate the earth twice, solo, so sailing solo. Then in Graciosa, okay, Graciosa is very, very small. Graciosa is just 61 square kilometers, and it has 4,200 inhabitants. So very rural, lots of cows. They have also very good cakes, cheesecakes. And so it's, if you like nature. But of course, I have chosen one picture from each island. So it was hard also to choose one from the different islands. Flores is, so now Flores and Corvo are the two that are closest to America, or the furthest from us, from the mainland. Flores is 141 square kilometers, and it has just 3,600 inhabitants. These pictures were taken by me, and the one on the left, if you see attentively, you can see the island of Corvo in the distance. So that's also more or less half an hour, maybe half an hour by boat. And what I love the most in Flores is the color of the sea and the different blues that you get from the sea. So I love those blue tones. And also I have chosen also a lighthouse that you can see on the right side, one of the many beautiful landscapes. Finally, in Corvo, me and my husband in Corvo, and Corvo is the smallest island, It has less than 500 inhabitants. Just one town, because the island is 4 kilometers by 7.
Mhm.
So it has one town. It's so 17 square kilometers, more or less. And the crater, this is the biggest crater, and the crater is 2 kilometers wide. So half of the island is the crater, which is a fantastic view when you go up, and then all of a sudden you get at the border of the crater, and I am not easily impressed. And when I got there and I went, wow, right? Because it was really a wow scenery. And the men that took me, because you can't even rent a car in this island because it's so small. They don't have rent a car. But they have some men that have vans, and they take the tourists up. And so because the man actually, he has asked us, do you want to go and see the crater? And because it was foggy, we thought, maybe tomorrow, because now it's too foggy, maybe we can't see the crater. And he said, I bet you can, and if you don't pay. If you can't see it, you don't pay. And we said, well, okay,
That's an
we have
offer you
nothing to
can't
lose.
refuse. Yeah,
Okay,
definitely.
we have nothing to lose. Let's go. So when I got there and I went, wow. And then he immediately said, now you have to pay twice.
Yes.
Yeah.
It sounds like you may have said that before.
He was just kidding, of course. But it is my favorite of all landscapes on the 9 islands. This is my favorite, because just being there, you can realize how impressive this is. And you can't even see, but there are cows at the bottom, but you can't see them because they are just a little spot. So this is very, very big. My husband went all the way down. I went just halfway and waited for him, because this is huge.
Incredible.
I
Fabulous. Fabulous tour.
tried to be as quickly as possible. And I know I didn't speak about Portuguese language, but speaking about the language, by the way, in Trás-os-Montes, in Miranda do Corvo, sorry, not Miranda do Corvo, this is where I live, Miranda do Douro. In Miranda do Douro, actually, you have another language, which is Mirandês. It's the only other language apart from Portuguese that we have in Portugal. We have 2 languages, but Mirandês is just in Miranda do Douro, and the children learn it at school. And the old people still use it in the villages, especially in the villages. They speak to each other in Mirandês, but in the city, Miranda do Douro, it's not as common now.
Amazing, though, to hear that. One quick question then before we go to a private audience with you after your fabulous slideshow there, an introduction to 3 of your hidden gems here in Portugal. And that will be from James on the Açores there. How long should you take to visit the Açores overall? So you mentioned, for the villages, 4 days.
Yeah.
For the Açores, how long for a trip over there?
Well, I would have, unless you want to take a month, I would advise that you could take a few days and choose 2 or 3 to visit. Yes. Because at least if you spend let's say 2 days on the smallest ones, because you still have enough things to see in 2 days, because if you like walking, for example, you have lovely trails that you can do. You can see the landscape. If you rent a car, for example, it's easy. You can go around the island and stop. You have to stop almost every 5 minutes. You have to stop, because everything is so beautiful. You really have to stop to appreciate the landscape. And you also have, as I said, you have the volcanoes to visit. You have, for example, in Faial, you can also see the latest volcano, as we said, Vulcão dos Capelinhos, is called Vulcão dos Capelinhos. You can visit the place where the ashes still are.
Wow.
It's everything, and you know that I have once recorded a video for you.
Yes.
And remember how windy it was. I wanted to speak, and it was very,
gave
very
us
windy.
a real experience of being there. That's
It
wonderful.
was really,
Thank you.
really, very, very, very windy.
Maybe an Expats Portugal tour in association with Filomena to the Azores. I'm sure many people would want to join you there, Filomena.
Why not? But we
Yeah.
can't do all the islands at once because we
No,
would
fair
stay
enough.
for a month.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough, James. I hope that helps. I can't stop the recording until I've shared these comments with you. Filomena, thanks for sharing your wonderful knowledge. That's from Farouk. Jay is saying, phenomenal travel log of truly hidden gems. I'm stoked, says Jay. Will this be archived on YouTube? Yeah, definitely. It'll be on the YouTube channel, Expats Portugal YouTube channel from Sunday evening. Lovely, says Iris. And thank you, Diana, for that lovely picture of I think it's your husband and son at the top of Pico Mountain there. Fabulous picture. Thank you very much for that. Thank you, says Denise. Fascinating stuff. Really enjoying it. So let's pause it there, and we'll have a private audience with you that members who are here tonight, Expats Portugal members, can have a little chat with you now and ask any questions, including the fabulous places that you chose for us, curated for us tonight, and any other linguistic and cultural questions. So for the time being, Filomena, that was fabulous. Thank you very much.
De nada. You're welcome.